Hello and welcome to this edition of the Express Pharma Nutrify Today Boardroom series. Today we are joined by Dr. Brijesh Kapil, who was pivotal in the success of many consumer brands. Hello, Dr. Kapil. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Vivek.
A little bit of Dr. Kapil's background. He has 30 plus years of experience spanning the OTC and pharmaceutical sectors, as well as consumer foods, agribusiness, medical diagnostics and FMCG in India, as well as international markets. He was GM at Merck and then Director Marketing and Sales and Strategy at Procter Gamble Health, and has also headed the Global Consumer Health Division of Ranbaxy, where he drove trend-setting brands like Revital, Volini, Neurobion, Polybion and Evion. And all these brands became top brands in their categories in the Indian pharma and OTC sector. He is a repository of knowledge in consumer healthcare, and he wears many hats. One of them is to anchor the OTC marketing management course in the Nutrify Today Academy. So, Dr. Kapil, very privileged to have you as part of the Express Pharma Nutrify Today Boardroom series.
Pleasure is mine too. Welcome. Look forward.
Thank you so much. So with your so many decades and years as an experienced global healthcare consumer healthcare professional, what are the trends driving the increased consumer interest in nutraceuticals?
Vivek, if you look at any of, say, the time series, the business of consumer health, nutraceuticals, pharmaceuticals has, undergone a regular time series with lots of predictability. I would say that any time series has got a trend, has got a seasonality, has got a cyclicality and irregularity. And in this time series, the irregularity has been caused by COVID, the impact of which was, extremely profound on the way everything, to do with the consumer health, nutraceuticals, OTC domain and all has happened. So I would say COVID impact was, a big thing, which has led to lot many categories moving up, which has led to certain trends and all, like your e-commerce, etc., moving up in a big, profound way. And lot of these trends and all, which were disrupted during COVID, they have tended to, stay on. Like, for example, e-commerce, if you look at, even post-COVID, e-commerce has not come down as a percentage of, pickup by the consumer as, a channel which is, established. And during COVID, almost 50% of the growth was contributed, or the whole OTC industry growth was contributed through e-commerce. One of the big things that happened during COVID and also stayed post-COVID has been the mood, anxiety and stress. So if you look at, say, the mental health as a category is, going leaps and bounds and all. There were lot many guys and all who have experienced sudden deaths and all in family during COVID, especially COVID wave 2, and that has led to really guys, becoming extremely aware of, what was happening, and it could happen to them as well. So that has led to, a series of, I would say, domino effect and all in trying to understand health much better. They have gone into, understanding as to what are the ailments. Immunity, which used to be good to have as a category, became the most predominant, category. Of course, post-COVID that has declined, but two trends that have stayed are the e-commerce and the mood, anxiety, stress, and, the mental health, which have, continued. Besides that, other big thing which has ended up happening, the post-COVID impact has been on the preventative healthcare. Preventative Indian consumer, if you really look at, they tended to really, when it was incumbent on them to make any change, like if you take a foot care cream, till they saw the blood on the floor when the female was walking, nobody would look at taking care of foot cream. Means face, you would open your purse strings and all, but for foot, who cares? So all that means has changed. And there was one huge Ipsos survey that happened during COVID, which is led to that VMS. If you really look at, it's a category whereon you don't feel the need. There is no trigger. If I were to ask you today, do you need a vitamin mineral supplement, your answer could be yes or no. But if I were to ask you, Do you need a cough syrup or a pain reliever? The answer would be a very discreet yes or no. So that's where, like the issue is, COVID has led to everyone started consuming VMS, whether it was impacting them or not. Brands like your Zincovit, like they topped the charts. Brands, like which were really down the line. Everybody started, like promoting on, like immunity build. So some trends have, like stayed there. Some trends have, like really come up. And I would say that future trends, not, like related just to nutraceuticals and consumer health industry have been, like the AI, for example. They're talking about, like it's a huge change that is AI is going to, like bring about, because there would be a plethora of information which would be available. And nutraceuticals, there is so much of, like dichotomy, because these are biological products versus pharmaceutical products which are standard. You would find, like plethora of information which is right or wrong, and stuff like your chat GPT or, like something, consumers are going to, like pick it up in a pretty big way. And of course means lifestyle changes which has happened. There's a whole gig economy which has, like come up, which is going to lead to its, like own issues. 35 million guys, they said they don't want to get back to work and would do something on their own rather than going back to office. Means is leading to, like a very different type of lifestyle issues and all which are coming up, and which are in a way related to mood, anxiety, stress and mental health, which is, like a big key trend and all for the future.
Right. Thanks, Dr. Kapil, for that, wide review of the trends that are affecting the increased consumer interest in nutraceuticals. And of course, many pharma companies have launched consumer healthcare products even pre-pandemic. They've created a fast-moving healthcare group like the FMHCG group. You yourself have done this in Ranbaxy with the brands that we mentioned before, Revital, Volini, Neurobion. So can they enjoy the same success? Can pharma companies enjoy the same success with nutraceuticals, riding on these decades of trust which back these pharma companies?
See, the answer to this, Viveka, would be yes and no. Means, like you need to do 10 things right. Means hundreds of things right and all. You need to understand the brand. You need to understand what does the product, like that I'm talking on. It's extremely critical to know which brand not to promote or which product not to promote and which product to promote. So the pick of, say, the brands and all amongst, like, and even for the nutraceutical companies and all, it'll be extremely critical. Like I worked, like P&G, there were 5 metrics and all which are extremely critical for any brand success. So you have a product superiority, not what the brand or the company or the R&D feels. It's the superiority which the consumer is able to feel that it is distinctly superior versus all competing products in the category. So that's the product superiority we are talking of, and that is the start and end. If you have that right, you may be successful. If you don't have that right, you would never ever be successful. Second goes on packaging. Packaging to communicate what the brand benefits and all turn up to be, and do lots of like selling as packaging itself. And the third is your brand communications. Extremely critical that it's like not just that you're putting some TV ads, some radio ads, or some like television ads, or going on digital media. Your brand communications have to be very well thought of. Your retail execution and how many outlets is your brand, what's your weighted distribution, what's your numeric distribution, and how you're comparing versus like the category and all. So all those become critical. And the fifth is the consumer and the customer, which is, say, the dealers and all, etc. Their retailer value equation is extremely critical. So if out of these 5 you are okay on 4 and bit weak on 5th, your chances of success are extremely good. But if you are only good on 3 and lacking on like the other 2, the brand is going to like be failed. So whatever it takes to develop these metrics and all, success metrics and all, into your brand, it applies to like detergents, fabric care, nutraceuticals, OTC, everywhere. means the product superiority has to be there. And till then, you need not, launch or get into that. Like, for example, Revital was a brand which was already switched over prior to I came in. But Volini is the one I, switched on myself in 2007. So I did a concept and use test whereon you drop a concept, understanding, what the product, benefits are, how you want to position the brand and product and all in consumer's mind. And then take the concept to the consumer. You do a home placement and try to evaluate your brand versus all the competing brands. So we had IDEX, Move, Amritanjan, Zandu, and Volini given in blind. And 90% of, say, the guys said they'll switch out of their existing brands to switch to Volini basis the relief that they experienced after 2 weeks of, usage of Volini. And that was it. I siphoned all the Revital funds back onto Volini and pumped up, and there was no looking back and all for Volini, the way the brand grew. Virtually between 2007 to 2013 that I handled the brand, it became 6 times 30 crores brand, becoming 180 crores and all, just like that. So it's extremely critical. I had other brands in my portfolio like Cherikov, Just Dip, your Pep-Fizz and all, etc. Garlic pearls and also, but I never thought they were strong enough to be, picked up. So the brand you pick up has to be not, what you feel, has to be felt on by the consumer, that, it's really, really superior versus all the competing brands. And then there won't be, anything, looking back and all.
Excellent. I think this is turning out to be a masterclass on how can you apply OTC marketing strategies to pharma consumer healthcare. And now my next question is, how can these be adopted and adapted to nutraceutical marketing? Any case studies, any examples that you would like to share as relates specifically to nutraceutical marketing?
So nutraceuticals, I would say, Viveka, the Revital was, again, the same case. I would say the job is extremely difficult in nutraceuticals. So I don't know, I need to get into a bit of, what my understanding of nutraceutical versus pharmaceuticals or any FMCG product is. That an FMCG product, if you look at, would deliver a detergent would wash, a soap would clean, a shampoo would, clean your hair, a conditioner would, moisturizer does, whatever it is. Pharma, paracetamol would take care of your fever, analgesic. Means it's, standard. There are no variations. But if you look at a nutraceutical, you would not get, a very clear-cut answer, especially which is in the vitamin dietary supplements domain. The biggest issue is, as I told you, there's no trigger for usage within the vitamin dietary supplement space. There are, of course, means your herbal, your even Volini, come to think of it, is, herbal in a way. IDEX is herbal, Zandu, Amritanjan. Their pain relievers are, virtually delivering you. You can't call them, true nutraceuticals, but they are herbal, traditional, products and all. But if you look at, say, nutraceuticals, they are not the same. If you were to ask 500 samples of paracetamol picked randomly out of, say, the Indian market, 500 brands, you'll find them, almost 495 would be same. And even those 5 would be minor 5 to 10%, variation. You ask for, let's say, cranberry extract or ashwagandha extract, or, any of, say, the products, you would barely find 10 symptoms, unless it is coming, somebody is using, same. Now, how is paracetamol manufactured versus how is a nutraceutical manufactured? Nutraceutical is coming out of a plant. Now, if you look at a plant, you have leaves, like a Revital I handle. It was the largest nutraceutical product, surpassing all the pharma products. It stood as the largest brand in 2013 that I, handled. It was a dietary supplement. Now, ginseng, if you look at, you get it from leaves, you get it from bark, you get it from taproot, you get it from secondary root, you get it from root hairs. Composition of each of them would be different. The bark at the top of the tree or bush, the bark at, say, the base close to the root would be different. Not all leaves in any plant are, like similar. So which is the one say that you're picking up? But all are ginseng extracts. So post that, there is a rigor for manufacturing paracetamol. There is a rigor for manufacturing a detergent powder. There is no confirmed rigor for extracting out of that. Like you boil the tea, like you barely, you boil water, put tea, you get a different, components and all which will be coming in your cup. You continue boiling like most of these street side stalls and all, they keep on, adding a spoon of, tea. The composition of that tea would be grossly different. That is nutraceuticals for me. And if you have you don't deliver consumer a very standardized product over to the consumer, you don't have a brand. And if you don't have a brand, you could be, like anything. Like I'll ashwagandha extract, but everybody uses, except say KSM 66 perhaps, everyone uses ashwagandha extract, but none of the ashwagandha extracts are same. When a consumer picks up, let me buy, this is cheaper, let me go for this ashwagandha extract, means it's just not delivering you what it is, supposed to, because it's called the same, the brand is same. It's like a Mercedes, delivering you, giving you a benefit of Alto, but you're calling all of them Mercedes or calling all of them Alto. So this is where I think we need to really understand that you need to get the rigor into the nutraceuticals. The nutraceuticals have to, I would say that there are got to be DMFs. Like there is a drug master file, and no one else should be allowed to use those extract names and all unless they are complying with 1, 2, 3 requirements. So like a DMF, like I can't call my chalk powder mixed with like some paracetamol, there is a drug master file. Nobody should be allowed to use like ashwagandha extract or the cranberry extract or this pro-anthocyanidins. For example, my own personal experience, we're doing like cranberry extract products and all. There are testing methods. There are pro-anthocyanidins which are supposed to be the actives in that. You use a UV method. What is 0.5% pro-anthocyanidins would be reported as 40%. So Chinese extracts, they are saying 40% pro-anthocyanidins we have. We have Canadian, like cranberry extracts, which are 15% versus 40%, and they are 20 times costlier than what, like the Chinese cranberry extracts with the 40% are. I'm not in a position to develop Indian market because I'm saying that the testing method is BLD MAP A2 method, which is the standardized method for which Canadian and American urology guidelines have approved this as a prevention for recurrent UTI, uncomplicated. So I would say the nutraceutical has to, like really try to do a DMF type of, pharma type of rigor, and then you are talking, then you do a build up on that. And there's a, like a hoopla in marketing, like they say that every satisfied consumer goes to 3 and every dissatisfied customer goes to 11. So you can imagine, means, like if there are 3 out of 100 brands, like there are 10 brands which are doing extremely good job and costly 90 guys, those 10 would be killed. It's only a matter of time. So nutraceuticals industry, I think if they have to, like, and they can, and we need to, like make sure that we understand this difference and we take this to, like a next level. Before we take this to next level, let's make a rock solid foundation that what we are calling as the ingredients have got the rigor of what exists in FMCG or what exists in, like pharma industry.
So those are very good points. And when you talk about nutraceutical ingredients being classified as by the same pharmaceutical system of drug master files, it would automatically assume that pharma companies enjoy some kind of a benefit, when they do nutraceuticals because they're used to doing it in that certain way. So how can the relatively younger pure play nutraceutical companies then compete with the trust factor that the pharma companies enjoy? Because these companies are not used to the DMF way of doing production. They may not be used to gathering clinical evidence and clinical research of the products. What are the what should be their modus operandi, and to choose the right products, and then their branding strategies, which these pure play nutraceutical companies can apply?
So I would say, Viveka, for these companies, I think it's extremely critical. If you're not in a position to see, like a product superiority, means you have to niche and like really identify, formulate the product which is delivering in a niche area, and not like in a mass area. Like the concept use test, which most of the companies, like in Merck, I could not do a concept use test because there is a whole like where the market research ends and where the clinical trial begins. It's like very, very elusive. So we could not like, and even in P&G we could not like get into, because getting like a patient data, so we never know like when a consumer ends and he becomes a patient, and you don't know when like a market research becomes like a clinical trial. So we totally like avoided that. But these companies could have like that you are in a position to test it amongst like a set of consumers, which other big companies like cannot, and really see like the differences and all, if the product is seen delivering. And if the product is seen delivering, only then look at like pushing any of say the nutraceutical brands into like a general market, because there is a plethora of brands, plethora of like nutra companies and all, which are like coming. But if you're not in a position to handle your back end, like you're just buying generally like ashwagandha extract or buying cranberry extract and all from like any market, and your sourcing guys are like sourcing the cheapest of say these extracts and all, you are not like having a brand. So the first basic tenet of a brand has to be like that nutraceutical, you are virtually controlling, I would say not even farm to table, but you need to control right from the seed to the table, like what's the cultivar of say the product that you are trying to like bear. I was given to understand like black cohosh is used for female menopause. There were 7 cultivars, of which like only one was actually therapeutically effective. So in Ranbaxy, while I was there with herbal drug research, we used to deploy a taxonomist who used to identify the cultivar of say the product, and only then we used to like go for extraction and all. We never used to pick up like the powders or like the final extracts which are coming up in liquids and all, that they had to qualify. They used to extract it themselves under standardized temperature and pressure. Then you're getting like a uniform product. So I would say there is inter-brand variations and there is intra-brand variations. Your batch to batch, if you see for the same company, if you are not got like your back end like sorted for sorting all these ingredients and all, you could be like in lots of like trouble, because one bottle the guy uses, he finds it effective. The second bottle the guy uses, it's not effective. He's going to like dunk the brand. So very clearly, and within nutraceuticals, I would say that there has got to be a very, I would say, hunt for sourcing like a very specific, and I would say a specific and non-overlapping biomarker which says that the product is exactly same. Otherwise, peaks you could get in multiple like products, and there like a whole industry which is sitting with like adulterants. Nutraceutical, what happens? You pick up like an ingredient, success happens, demand shoots up, and you're not in a position, then like the mixing of like adulterants and all that starts, and you'd find like the things like are going on. So I would say the rigor of a franchisee model, that's extremely critical. Like Burger King, I was part of like Pillsbury, like Burger King, you find it in China, Shanghai, India, Bandra, New York, London, everywhere you'll get the same. Because the rigor, the soil in which the potatoes are grown, the variety of the seed, the temperature of the oil, what oil you're getting. So the fries are like just the same. Otherwise, all the 20,000 plus, like stores globally would vanish if they were just picking and buying, like products and all, potatoes and all from Baikula market or, like any of the mandis and all to get their costs down. So extremely critical. Those are, I would say, the do's and don'ts and all for, say, the young Nutra industry guys and all to, like be cognizant of and make sure that you are delivering a consistent brand, like with a batch-to-batch consistency.
So that's almost like a pharmaceutical, turn of phrase, batch-to-batch consistency. The government of India is also hoping that the nutraceutical industry in India reaches, 100 billion. So how should the responsible nutraceutical industry leverage this opportunity? The government is doing a lot and is putting in place some guidelines. How can this opportunity be leveraged, both by the pharma players as well as the nutra players?
No, I would say that nutraceutical industry means, if you look at, say, the health and wellness as a category, and nutraceuticals is best suited and all to actually cater to the health and wellness industry. So if you look at the confluence of, like a food FMCG, or you look at, say, pharma, and then, like look at, say, the cosmetics industry and all. And if you see the confluence of all these, that's giving rise to, like the whole health and wellness. So if you look at, say, the global 100 trillion economy, upwards 4 trillion economy, which is 4% of, say, the global GDP is made up of health and wellness categories. So I would say that for 100 billion to be realized, you need to, like look at, like converting, for example, a food FMCG into this. Like if you were to look at when does, like it become a food and when does it become, like a nutraceutical. So if you have, like your regular, your dahi, yogurt and all, etc. If you're adding with, like a probiotic, it becomes, like a nutraceutical product. So what was, like an FMCG, food FMCG, is becoming, like a nutraceutical. Similarly, pharma, if you really look at, means pharma, there are a lot many, like brands and all, which are, like sitting. For example, if a person with, like with the arthritis, who is popping in, like your COX-2 inhibitors, like diclofenacs and all, etc., and you are coming up with, like a natural painkiller, which is, like of a herbal, traditional, like ingredient, and you are in a position to cannibalize into, like a pharma, you'd be in a position to, like cannibalize the whole, I would say, pain analgesics, like category into, like the nutraceuticals domain. Similarly, on cosmeceuticals and all, cosmetics, like what are skin lightening creams and all. If you're skin lightening creams, you are in a position to get it through, like the herbal route, through like your kojic acid, etc., your vitamin E, which is natural. You are in a position to, like cannibalize into, like the cosmetics. So I would say if you are in a position to and create, like this whole health and wellness, like domain. So for example, if you look at, say, the sugar, the quantum of sugar that is getting consumed, there is, like stevia, which is, like a plant-based sweetener. If all the sugar getting consumed, if you correct, like what are the issues sitting up with stevia, you are having, like a huge industry which is sitting. So it's like I would say, how you look at, like making the approach to, what are, say, the shares of these three industries. They are a food FMCG, a pharma. You are in a position to get them converted into, like health and wellness. Like Revital was launched as a drug way back in 1989. In 2002, it was, like switched over. And 2005, so what I was doing virtually in 2 months' time was, like what the brand was, like doing when it was, like a drug. But you were putting in 60-70 crores, Salman Khan, Yuvraj and all, like everyone, like advertising, like through the roof and all at that point in time. So I would say there is lots to means what activities the industry takes up. 100 billion is, like very much doable. Today, pharma is 50 billion. Of course, you need to put on a timeline that 100 billion by 2030 or by 2047 means, like I think it should be around 2030 and all. It's very paltry, like here and now at this moment. But if you look at the way even the government, stuff is turning up, that Ayurveda needs to be promoted, Ayush needs to be, there is, some notifications in last Vida Foods and all, I heard that they're planning looking at, 56 Ayurveda texts and getting coupled with something like foreign herbs and all to be added and to be sold as, Ayurveda products. So very clearly means, a lot of, opportunities like that, I would say, if those are, leveraged. And Ayurveda, I would say, is, a massive science, 5,000 years old science, but it's a science which is, customized. So you come over, your phenotype is assessed whether you are Vata, Pitta or Kapha category, and then a product is, casted for you, which is specific. While today, you come up with, a cough syll, which is, a cough syrup, which is, one size fits all, like giving the whole Indian population shoe number 8 and, make it a slipper out of it, or make, put something else and all, and, run with it. So I would say means, and what ends up happening is that if you're not, careful of what not to do, you end up, creating a customized science into, a mass science. And a mass science leads to the point that you are creating more dissatisfaction for, say, the product that you are putting into the market. And that is going to lead to a disaster that, it'll all come, down, plummeting down, because most of the guys are, dissatisfied.
So Dr. Kapil, you've spoken about how nutraceutical companies and pharmaceutical companies, for that matter, can differentiate their products, as there are many Me Too brands already there in the market who just follow the leader. And I wanted to now ask you a question which really vexes most veterans. When is the right time to make that switch from RX to OTC in nutraceuticals? I know you've done it in pharma. You've mentioned some of the brands that you've done it for. In nutraceuticals, when do you think this would be the right time to, for a company to say that, okay, this is the right time to make an RX to OTC switch?
So Viveka, the brand has to be, like an RX early. So very clearly, I would say that there is lots of science behind when you make the RX to OTC switch. When your prescriptions are static, falling, and your sales continue to rise despite fall or your prescription staying static, it's indicative of self-medication. That prescription is not leading to sales, but the medication is leading to sales.
People are buying it off the counter, basically.
Sorry?
People are buying it OTC, like an OTC.
Yeah, people are buying OTC. So very clearly, that's the point in time if you make the switch. Now, why prescriptions are falling? The prescriptions would be falling because there is a new molecule perhaps which has hit the market and which is delivering superior benefits, which is being promoted to the doctors. Like, for example, if you have, let's say, the Brufen that was being, or paracetamol that was for, pain relief for arthritic patients. Then came diclofenac. If diclofenac has hit the market, that is, a superior product for handling joint pains and all versus paracetamol. So your prescriptions for paracetamol would start falling and diclofenac would start rising. So that point in time, if you make the switch, the consumer, you are going directly to the consumer, the self-medication trend would tend to, continue giving a king to the cycle. Otherwise, if the consumer happens to visit the doctor back again, he would be prescribed the diclofenac, and you have lost the chance and all for getting him back onto, your paracetamol as an OTC product, because the guys experienced diclofenac and you have lost your chance. And also it's that we used to call it, for Green Giant product, it's that fleeting moment of perfection when you do, the harvest and all for the corn, Green Giant corn and all. So on a similar basis, it's that fleeting moment of perfection that, it's a perfect time to, make a switch. If you delay it, the chances that the switch would be a success gets depleted, because more and more consumers are getting exposed to a superior product through the doctor's route, and you would be losing out on that, and no amount of a consumerization or is going to get them back over to the.
Okay.
So that's yeah.
Dr. Kapil, I'd like to end this interview by looking into the future, because nutraceuticals and pharmaceuticals are sectors which are ready for disruption, because they're very innovation heavy, they're very information heavy. Many sectors have been disrupted by the new gen tools of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So how are such tools going to disrupt the nutraceutical market? For instance, can they help nutraceutical companies design and manage more effective marketing strategies? Can they design and tweak their go-to-market strategies better? What is your view on that?
No, Viveka, that's a trend, if you look at, say, the Euromonitor top 10 trends and all for consumer 2024, one of the key trends and all has been the AI and your machine learning, and stuff like that. For the nutraceutical companies, I would say this is going to be, a big boom. But we need to, be in a position to really, really figure up and use, what lies between our ears and all to get, huge copious information that sits up within, say, the nutraceutical domain. So look at, say, the information that is, coming on any of, say, the plant extracts and all. So you will get, copious information, good, bad. You would be in a position to collate, all the clinical trials and all, in a very quick way. The type of predictive analytics and all, say, basis trends and all that you would be in a position to project, what the future scenarios and all, etc. of, the stuff would be. Like, for example, Procter used to, have their software integrated hospital management services deployed in, hospitals, and they used to mention that by what time is the patient with this particular biochemistry profile is expected to be readmitted back to the hospital. So that's the type of, your predictive analytics and all. So all that, I think AI and machine learning and deep machine learning and all would be in a position to, cater. And with ChatGPT in the hands of, the consumers, the nutraceutical companies need to be beware as to what's the information that is going out, that a curated information from all nutraceutical companies is getting passed over on their own websites and all, etc. Because Revital example I'll give you, there used to be ginseng abuse syndrome, with some summer trainees went over the health authorities, and we had to prepare dossiers and presentations and all over to the health authorities and all to say that this is just one bit. And I said, say, a ginseng could lead to an abuse, but a ginseng, not all ginsengs are same, and if they are not same, they would be delivering you very, very different results and all, etc. And if something has led to anything bad happening, means you can't say that all ginsengs are bad or all ginsengs are good and all. So for that matter, I would say a Nutrify Genie, for example, Nutrify Today, as released, is leading to all consolidation of trials. For example, any Nutra company would be looking at as to what is the scientific evidence, what is the scientific evidence, or what are the brands and all which are globally present, where I can get, say, the brand manufactured and all, what are the brands, how the brands performing in rest of the markets. All that is very clearly possible through even a site like Nutrify Genie. So time to the market would be crashed, and I would say you would be in a position to head to the market in a far more robust way, that it's with a robust foot forward, you'll be in a position to approach to the doctors or to the consumers the way it is expected to be, and definitely it's going to lead to it. And even at, say, the consumer level, the personalized medicine is bound to come in a pretty big way. And personalized medicine, if you look at, means what I talked about, the Ayurveda Prakriti and nutraceutical or Ayurveda dosing done basis the Prakriti and not, and if you look at, say, the new nutrogenomics, nutrigenetics, your proteomics, oleomics and all, etc., that not all fats or not all proteins and all, they are acted upon by your body in a way. So once your genetic makeup is known, you would be getting very, very personalized, recommendations on what to eat, what not to eat, what to use, what not to use. And there would be, like a far more superior efficacy. And that could be, like paving a way forward for the 100 billion that we are talking of. That proteins that you are consuming are, like customized. So it's not, like any dal you pick and you're getting your protein. Like there are, like in Europe, there are certain beans and all which are being done in Amsterdam, whereon they are trying to, like remove the phytonutrients, your phytates and all, which inhibit the absorption of proteins into, like blood. They are, like coming up with such proteins. Now, when you are trying to, like convert this bean into a powder, for example, what Nutrilite is a soya bean. Atta you'll get for $40 a kg, but that is selling for $4,500 a kg. So they remove all the phytates, all the fat, all the carbohydrates, all, like non-nutritional. It's a soya protein isolate. And what is $40 is selling for, like 4,500, almost, like 100 times the price. So that's how, like your 3 to 4 billion industry can become, like a 100 billion industry. If everyone puts their head and knows what to do in the industry and what not to do in the industry.
Thank you, Dr. Kapil. That's beautifully summarized. Knows what to do and knows what not to do in the industry. We've been through almost a masterclass on OTC marketing as applied to nutraceuticals, and we feel, I think the industry, once they listen to this recording, will really be very confident about their nutraceutical strategies to take the industry to the $100 billion by 2030. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, Dr. Kapil. This is Viveka signing off for Express Pharma.
Pleasure is mine. Thanks, and like it was lovely interacting with you, Viveka. Let's stay in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We will do. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.